Nama Rupa Paccaya Sayalayanam Sayayatanam Paccaya Passo Passa Paccaya Vedana Vedana Paccaya Tanha Tanha Paccaya Upadanam Upadana Paccaya Bhavo Bhava Paccaya Shati Shati Paccaya Java Marana Sukha Parideva Dukkha Domanasa Upayasa Sambhavanti Imam Sa Kevalasa Dukkha Khandasa Samudayo Hoti.
We have finished the link between avidya and sankhara, between ignorance and karma formations, and then between sankhara and vijnana, formations and consciousness, and also between vijnana and namarupa, between consciousness and mind and matter. Now we come to the fourth, or between 4 and 5, fourth link, that is between nama rupa and salayatana. That means between mind and matter and sixth base, or 6 bases. So on this chart, now we are going to study between 4 and 5. So nama, rupa and salayatana, 6 bases. Now after finishing the last link, I thought we have already finished what is difficult, so the next one would be easy. But when I prepared for the teaching, and when I reread the Paticcasamuppada, I found that it's not so easy. It's still difficult. So the subject of dependent origination is actually a difficult one, and so I want you to pay close attention to the teaching. It may seem easy, just say, because there is avidya, there are sankharas and so on. Even the Venerable Ananda thought that it was not so deep, not so difficult. And then Buddha said, do not say that, Ananda, do not say that. The dependent origination looks deep, and it is really deep. So it is not easy to understand, it is very difficult because many things are involved. And I'll try to make it as much as I can for you easy to understand, but you need some kind of background knowledge. So if you do not have that background knowledge, it may be a little difficult for you to understand. But I will make it as much as I can to present it to you so that you can fairly understand it. In my talks I used Pali words, and that is to avoid misunderstanding. Now there we cannot have the exact translations of the Pali words. The translations we use are just that we think to be closest to the original. But also they may be close to the original, they do not mean quite the exact thing. So it is better to be familiar with the Pali words and to understand their meaning, so that later on there is no misunderstanding. So I always define the Pali words I used in my talks, and so many of you here are familiar with those Pali words. So those who are not yet familiar with Pali words, I want to say, please be patient, and please do not afraid of these Pali words. We cannot avoid these Pali words, and they are actually, once you get familiar with them, you will want to use them only. Once you get the taste of using Pali words and understanding them, you will want to use the Pali words only. So please do not be afraid of Pali words, and try to understand what they mean. And I would like to ask people at Tathagata Meditation Center to compile a glossary of Pali words with explanations in Vietnamese. So if you have such a compilation, then you can just give them to those who are new to the center, and they can learn the meanings of the Pali words from that glossary. So today we come to the fourth link between Nama Rupa and Salayatana. So between mind and matter and six sense bases. So please look at the second sheet distributed today, or the text on the board. They are the same. So there are three terms you need to know. The first, Nama, and then Rupa, and then Ayatanas or Salayatana.
Quý vị,
Nama means mind or mental. And you know what mind is. See, mind is a faculty which depends on the body, and with which we experience objects, with which we think, we speculate, we make judgments, with which we become attached to things, or we get angry with. So that is called mind or mental states or mental properties. And the word Nama is a collective noun, and so at least in this context means two things. Or in other words, what we call Nama is composed of two things, or it has two components. And the first component is consciousness, and the second component is mental factors. So the combination of these two, consciousness and mental factors, we call Nama.
ở đây,
And consciousness is the pure awareness of the object, just the awareness of the object. So it is not yet knowing the object, or attachment to the object, or aversion from the object, but just the awareness of the object.
và
And this awareness of the object is always accompanied by, or always associated with, mental states. that are called mental factors. So mental states are, for example, attention, concentration, perception, feeling, mindfulness, understanding. All these are called mental factors, and these mental factors arise together with consciousness. Consciousness is said to be the leader or the chief of mental states, because only when there is consciousness, only when there is the awareness of the object, can other mental factors arise. Only when there is the awareness of the object can there be attention to the object, or can there be attachment to the object, or can there be the understanding of the object. So consciousness is said to be the leader or the chief of all mental states. By nature, consciousness is only one, but when it combines with different groups of mental factors, it becomes known as good consciousness or bad consciousness, wholesome consciousness or unwholesome consciousness. So the mental factors are those that add color, say, to the consciousness. Consciousness has no color. It is like water, so no color. And mental factors are like color. So you put red color in the water and it becomes red water. You put green color in the water and it becomes green water, and so on. So mental factors are those that give color to consciousness, and they always arise together. There are 89 types of consciousness and 52 mental factors. Not all 52 mental factors arise with every type of consciousness. There may be some, say 7 or 19 or 21, arising with a certain type of consciousness. So you cannot get all 52 Chaitasikas at one moment. Now we go to Rupa. Rupa means matter. Matter belongs to both animate beings and to outside things. So we can find matter in ourselves and also in the trees, in the houses, in mountains, and so on. Now there are 28 types of matter or material properties, and they are, you can go through the list, the 4 primary elements, 5 sensitivities, 5 objective fields, 2 genders, 1 heart, 1 life principle, 1 nutrition, 1 space, 2 intimations, 3 mutations, and 4 marks. Now, I cannot explain all these to you now. I will explain to you only the relevant properties to this link. The first group among them is the 4 primary elements. 4 primary elements means element of earth, element of water, element of fire, and element of air. Now, element of earth means not necessarily the earth, but the quality that inheres in the earth, and that quality is the hardness or softness. The element of water means the quality inherent in water, and that is cohesiveness or trickling. And the element of fire means heat or cold, so it is temperature. And the element of air means expansion, support, or say tightness or looseness of things. So that quality is called the element of air. So these four are called the four primary elements. Actually, they are the base elements for other material properties to depend upon. The other material properties are dependent upon those four primary elements for their arising as well as for their existence. And the first of them is 5 sensitivities. That means the sensitive material particles in the eye, in the ear, in the nose, in the tongue, and in the body. So they are called sensitivities. So there are 5 sensitivities: eye sensitivity, ear, nose, tongue, and body sensitivity. Eye sensitivity means sensitive particles in the eye, where the image strikes and then helps us to see. Ear sensitivity means sensitive material particles in the inner ear, where the sound wave strike and then we have hearing. And the nose sensitivity means the sensitive particles in the nose, and tongue sensitivity in the tongue, and body sensitivity in the whole body. So these sensitive particles are called sensitivity. So there are 5 such sensitivities. Then we skip 2 and we get heart. So heart is also a material property. Actually, not the whole body of the heart, but the blood in the heart. So what we call heart or heart base depends upon that a handful of blood in the heart. So that is called heart base, and that is the base of consciousness. The next one is life principle. That means some material property in our bodies which keeps our bodies alive. If this life principle dies, then our bodies become decomposed. So that material property which keeps the other material properties alive is called life principle. But material properties to exist, they need some kind of nutrition. So nutrition is said to be one material property. So without the nutrition, the other material properties will die out. So the material properties including these are called rupa. So whenever you hear the word or you see the word rupa, when you are reading Abhidhamma or dependent origination, please understand that it means material properties. Now we come to the 6 ayatanas. Ayatana means base. It's a base for consciousness to arise. Now, eye base. We have seeing consciousness because we have the eye, or we have the eye sensitivity. If we do not have the eye sensitivity, we will not see, and so there will be no seeing consciousness. So the eye, or rather the eye sensitivity, is the base for eye consciousness or seeing consciousness. Similarly, ear sensitivity is the base for hearing consciousness. Nose sensitivity is the base for smelling consciousness. Tongue sensitivity is the base for tasting consciousness. And body sensitivity is the base for touching consciousness. So these are called bases here. Eye base, ear base, nose base, tongue base, and body base. What are these 5 bases? Are they nama or rupa? They are rupa, yes. Now the 6th one is mind base. Mind base is a base for other types of consciousness to arise. Actually, mind base is just consciousness. So, under nama you find consciousness and mental factors. And under 6 ayatanas you find mind base. So, mind base and consciousness are the same. So now you understand what is nama, say what is rupa, and what are the ayatanas or bases. Now, in this particular link, nama does not mean consciousness. Here, we must take just mental factors as nama. In the formula, nama, rupa, paccaya, salayatana, right? So in this formula, nama does not mean consciousness. It means mental factors. Consciousness is already taken by vijnana in the previous link, and also it is taken by the mind base. So here nama means only mental factors. That's why they are printed in italics. And under rupa also, we have to take only those that are printed in italics. So we take only 4 primaries, 5 sensitivities, 1 heart, 1 life principle, and 1 nutrition as rupa here. So rupa does not mean all 28 rupas here, but just these 4 primary elements, 5 sensitivities, heart, life principle, and nutrition. This link, nama and rupa are the conditioning factors, and 6 ayatanas are the conditioned factors. So nama and rupa are something like cause, and 6 ayatanas are something like effect. So now we will see how they are related. Now the formula nama, rupa, paccaya, salayatana is a general statement. As it stands, we cannot apply it to every situation. So depending on the situation, we have to understand the formula in a modified form. So we will see that. Now, mental factors can belong to mind-only beings. Mind only means mind-only beings. Or it can belong to 5 aggregate beings. Now, there are beings who have only mind, who do not have any physical body. So that means who have only consciousness and mental factors. So they are called, let us call them mind-only beings. Since they have no physical body, their relationship to these 6 cannot be to all 6. So mental factors is here nama, right? So mental factors of mind-only beings can be related to only which? the sixth one, right? So only to 6, not to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in this situation, we cannot say nama rupa paccaya salayatana, right? Because of nama rupa there is ayatana. Because of nama there is sixth ayatana. So we have to understand it in this way. That is why it is difficult. So the formula nama rupa paccaya salayatana is a general statement. So when applied to particular situation, then we have to modify it. So for this relationship, we say nama paccaya, say sixth ayatana. Because of nama, there is sixth ayatana. Because this is, it's not heart based, it's sort of mind based. So mind based. Mind based is consciousness, and mental factors are mental factors. So they arise together, and here, according to this link, the mental factors support the consciousness. Next situation. 5 aggregate means 5 aggregate beings who have all 5 aggregates. You may call them mind matter beings who have both mind and matter. So for mind matter beings, for beings who have 5 aggregates, the relationship will be different. So the mental factors belonging to 5 aggregate beings can be related to how many?
6.
All 6 of them, because 5 aggregate beings have eye base, ear base, and so on. So in this case, we can say nama paccaya, right? Because of nama, there are 6 bases, not just the 6th, all 6 bases. So we have to modify that statement. If we apply only to 5 aggregate beings with regard to mental factors. So this is another kind of relationship. Mental factors to mind base. I just told you that consciousness is the chief of mental states. If there is no consciousness, there can be no mental factors, right? Okay, now it is reverse. If mental factors do not arise, consciousness cannot arise either. No attention to the object. If there is no contact with the object, if there is no, say, concentration to the object, if there is no volition, consciousness cannot arise. Although consciousness and mental factors arise together, they are supportive. The mental factors are supportive of consciousness. If they don't arise, simply consciousness also do not arise. So here they are said to be a condition for consciousness. Suppose a group of people are trying to lift a very heavy object, and one of them is the leader. But the leader cannot lift the object by himself. He needs the help of other people, his followers. Only when he gets the support of his followers can he accomplish the lifting of the object. So although he is a leader, he still needs their assistance. So in this way, although the consciousness is said to be a forerunner or a leader or a chief, it still needs the cooperation of the other mental factors. So that is why here mental factors are said to be conditioning factor, and the consciousness is said to be conditioned factor. Okay, what about with 5 aggregate beings? So with 5 aggregate beings, the mental factors are related to the first 5 as well as to the 6th. So that means, let's say, mental factors in us are conditioning factors for eye, ear, nose, tongue and body in us. So how do we explain that relationship?
Vâng.
So mental factors to eye base, ear base, nose base, tongue base and body base. Now, if there is no nama, no mind, what will happen to us? We are 5 aggregate beings. So if we have no mind, no consciousness, no mental factors, what will happen to us? We die. Right? So when we die, our physical body will decompose. Right? After our death, I mean. So eye sensitivity and so on cannot exist with the help of mind. Only when we have mind, our mind is functioning, is also the body functioning. So once the mind leaves the body, then our body becomes useless, say like a log of wood or like a rock. So since the material properties, including these 5 bases, can exist only when there is mind, there is consciousness and mental factors, they are said to be supported by the material properties are said to be supported by mental factors. So without mental factors or without consciousness and mental factors, material properties in our bodies cannot survive.
Trong ý nghĩa.
Okay, that is the relationship between nama and six bases. Now we come to relationship between rupa and let's see 6 bases. Let us see how many we will get in particular situations. Now let us take first the 4 primaries. The 4 primaries means 4 great elements. Earth, water, fire and air elements. So to which of these can they be related? To all 6 or to just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or to the 6th only? Only to 1 to 5, right? So they can be related to, or they are supportive of only these 5, because they are primary base elements, and only when there are these 4 primaries can I base and so on arise and exist. So the 4 primaries are the conditioning factors and the 5 bases are conditioning factors. Now in this particular situation, we modify the statement as because of rupa there are 5 bases, right? So rupa paccaya ayatana, 5 ayatana, something like that. Now in the eyeball there are millions of material particles, and many of them are the 4 primary elements. So if there were no eyeball, there can be no eye sensitivity. So the eyeball is a base for the eye sensitivity, which is itself a base for consciousness. So the 4 elements existing in the eyeball are related to the eye base, or The four primary elements in the eyeball are conditioning factors, and the eye sensitivity is the conditioned factor. The same with the ear, nose, tongue, and body. Okay, let's go to 5 sensitivities. Which of those 6 can they relate to? 5 sensitivities to what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which? First 5? 6. Oh, there are two answers. Huh? No, these belong to 5 aggregate beings. So these belong to us. So 5 sensitivities can be related to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or all 6. Now, what are 5 sensitivities? Aren't they the same as these 5? Right? 5 sensitivities and eye base, ear base, nose base, tongue base and body base are same. Right? So you cannot be the condition for yourself. Right? So they cannot be related to 1 to 5. They can be related to only 6 only. Right? You cannot be conditioned for yourself, right? you can be a condition for other person, but you cannot be a condition for yourself. So eye sensitivities can be related to what? Mind only. Okay. So how are they related?
Thì cái câu hỏi.
Now when you see something, what do you need for the seeing consciousness to arise? Eyes, and then object, and then attention, right? So when you see something, there is seeing consciousness. So seeing consciousness depends upon the eye base and also on the something to be seen, right? So here we are not concerned with something to be seen. We are concerned with what is in ourselves. So when we see something, that seeing consciousness is conditioned by one of the 5 sensitivities, that is eye sensitivity. So they are related that way. See, the eye sensitivity supports the eye consciousness or seeing consciousness. So how would you modify the formula for this particular situation?
Thì sư hỏi
Papachaya, sixth ayatana, right? Not 6, but 6th. Yeah. So Rupa Pachaya, 6th ayatana. The same with when you hear something, when you smell something, when you taste something, when you touch something.
thì cũng
Okay, next we go to heart. Now you already know heart base. So it's in the heart. To heart, can you relate? From 1 to 5 or to 6? 1 to 5? How? Right?
Heart is mind base to 1 is 7. Heart and mind base is 7.
Yeah. No. Mind base and heart are different. Heart is here. Mind base is consciousness.
But the blood in the mind.
Yeah. The blood in the mind, particles in the blood in the not in the mind, particles in the blood in the heart is heart, and mind base is not the heart. Mind base is consciousness, chitta. They are different. So you do not mix these two up. Say, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind here, right? And not heart. So heart base, I mean heart can be related to only 6. Huh? Only here, not to those 5. Because ear base, eye base also are in our body, and heart is also in our body, right? But they are not related. So heart base is related only to the 6th one. There are types of consciousness which depend on the heart, right? Seeing consciousness depend on the eye base. Hearing consciousness depend on ear base. And there are other types of consciousness, as say when we think of something, when you remember something, when you speculate on something, when we are angry, something like that. So in that case, consciousness depends on the heart. So the heart can be related to 6th base only. Okay, next one. Life principle. So that is, life principle is some material property which keeps the other material properties alive. So to which can it be related? You decide. Huh? When there is life principle, other material properties live. When there is no life principle, other material properties die. So it is a condition for which? The first 5. Right. So life principle is related to, there were so many lines. Okay. Right.
Cái tính.
Okay, the last one. Oh, please. Wait. You're very quick. Okay, yeah. 5. Okay, like this. So, because if there is no nutrition, material properties cannot live. So nutrition is related to the 5 bases and not to the 6th.
Và cái
This is only level 1. Let's go back. Now, the formula is Nama Rupa Paccaya Salayatana. Or in English, let us say Nama Rupa to 6 bases, right? Nama Rupa to 6 bases. And this statement seems to be one solid statement, right? But now you see that it is composed of many small statements, depending on the situation, right? So let us see how many statements you can make looking at this chart. How many modified statements? Okay, let's begin with this. The mental fact, right, of mind-only beings. So, Nama to 6th base. That is one statement, right? So, Nama to 6th base. And then this one. Nama to both. Nama to 6. 6. So Nama to 6 bases, right? Okay. And then Rupa to
five.
5 bases. This one, Rupa to
Six.
6th base. And this one, Rupa to,
Five.
no.
Six.
6th base. And this one, life principle,
Five.
Rupa to 5 bases. And nutrition, Rupa to 5 bases. So now you see how many fibers are there in just one link. Principle is something in our bodies which keeps the material properties alive. It is like life sustaining matter. Nutrition is one more thing. Nutrition gives support, and life principle also gives support. Yeah, but they give different support. Say life principle is something like heat. So when the food is heated, then it doesn't go bad. So something like that. But nutrition give food to the material property. So they are different. One keeps it alive, and others give something to be alive. So among these statements, there are many that we have to take on faith. Because with regard to mind-only beings, we just have to take on faith. We have no way of understanding them. So if we want to understand them, we must try to be one of them. And also there are many statements that we really cannot see. We have to take on, believe it on faith in the Buddha. But there are some we can understand if we think about them. Like when we practice meditation, sometimes we are aware of the mental states, right? When you are angry, you are aware of anger. Then when you are happy, you are aware of happiness. When you have pain, you are aware of the feeling. And so you can understand that because you have, say, attachment, then you have the consciousness of attachment going on and on and on. Sometimes you are angry, and then the anger and angry mind goes on and on and on. And so you can understand that nama is a condition for sixth base, which is consciousness. And also, so when you are mindful of, say, seeing something, and you say seeing, then you can understand that seeing arises because there is the eye and because there is something to be seen. If there is no eye, then there can be no seeing. So the seeing is conditioned by the eye. That you can understand. So some of these statements you can understand for yourself, but others you have to take on faith. Now, what kind of relationship do you think is in this link? Is the relationship between producer and product, or supporter and supported?
Thì sư hỏi.
So, are these product of these first column, or are they just supported by these support? So, that's very important. Many people think that these links are the relationship as producer and product, but it's not almost always not so. The only link where we can see there is a producer-product relationship is between mental formations and consciousness, vijnana. So this relationship is just support as supporter and supported. And as you may have guessed, both the conditioning factor and conditioned factor must exist at the same time when this relationship occurs. When something, the I must be existing, and your seeing consciousness must be existing. When consciousness arises, the mental factors also arise. So they both must be arising and existing at the same time. So they support each other when they exist. Not that say some one the condition produces and the other one. So this is level 1. Level 2 is more complicated on the first sheet. So we'll do it tomorrow and see if you can follow.